Oké, en dan moet je hem dus even sharen. Ja, die link moet je even naar mij sturen, anders zit ik hem in de chat.
Je moet hem even aanzetten. Kijken of je mij kan horen.
Ja. Oké, ik even op YouTube.
Hallo?
Dit even 30 seconden.
Duurt 30 seconden?
Ja, voordat hij... dat is een delay. Oh,
Hallo? Je zou iets moeten horen, toch?
Ja, want de mic vast. Zet je geluid aan? Goed.
Hij zou moeten doen, toch? Hallo? Joehoe.
Test, 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 test. Ja, onze mic vast.
En dan ligt een heel stuk achter.
Ja, maar dan komt het omdat de latency op normal staat. Maar dat is oké, want dan is de kwaliteit van de stream wel beter.
Hij zou moeten doen, toch?
Nu, als die test goed is, dan stuur ik hem gewoon in de chat. Oké? Test, 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 ja, test, test, test. Oké. Yes, ik heb het link gedeeld. Dus vanaf, ik zou even 3 minuutjes, 4 minuutjes, 5 minuutjes geven om mensen te joinen en dan gewoon starten.
Ja, hier blijven.
Nu we blijven over hier. Wat een lachen hier.
Ja, doe denk ik.
Deze?
Nee, het is nog rechts.
Gewoon naast je zitten.
Doe je ding!
7 viewers, alright. Nou, dan zit ik zo wachten tot 21/7 of zo. Dan mensen erbij komen. Of the 3D shapes in the color. Is die Engels? Hij schrijft color op zijn Engels. Help mom, I'm famous! dan de achtergrondgeluid maken van de slide. Als de slide verder gaat op.
Nee.
Je kan zo na de stream, als mensen vragen hebben, whatever, en je wil een beetje als mensen in de chat nog actief zijn, kan je dus wel op je camera zetten eventueel. Dan kijken mensen niet naar een blad terwijl ze antwoord voor jou krijgen.
Hoe nooit? Nogmaals? Sorry, ik even.
Als mensen in de chat iets vragen hebben aan het eind van de stream, kan je gewoon de camera aanzetten en dan kijken mensen niet tegen een blad aan terwijl ze een antwoord krijgen. Mocht je dat willen.
Nice. Nu heb ik al die laatste quotes niet in staan.
Ja, die moet je visueel doen.
Oké.
Peter, ik zeg toch mama en famous. Ik ga gewoon mooie Instagram story maken voor het ding.
Ja, doe maar.
Dan moet je tijdens de slide even naar mij toe kijken. Zo. Dat is een duim omhoog weer flex.
So this took a while to get ready. Welcome everybody, all the 11 viewers. This is the theoretical quarantine clinic. It took a while longer to get it all set up because I'm the biggest boomer in the whole Tilburg. I hope you're all in good health and doing your part in minimizing the spreading of the COVID-19 virus. My name, for those who do not know me or show early signs of dementia, my name is Peter Karras and I will give this presentation. In this presentation, I'll be giving you some principles on training and dieting, which you can implement into your day to make sure you do not lose any of your precious muscles. There we go. So the topics that will be discussed in this presentation are the following. The implications of training without weights. What does research suggest and how does this make us look at this particular situation? You're all training in some form or another right now, but are you really training? I don't think so. So I'll hopefully give you or provide you with some guidelines to start working out and staying on track for that summer body of yours. The next topic will be implications of training at home. Those are the things you need to consider doing to get the most out of your training without gym. Some training modalities, alterations in how to perform your training in order to keep it challenging and not all too time consuming. The dietary implications of quarantine. What changes need to happen to your diet or to our diet with these new circumstances, and the dietary adjustments. How do we use these implications and make them practical? So let's look at what the scientific literature suggests. Remember, there are a lot of studies out there, and the way science usually works is that you look at the totality of research to get an idea where to start for yourself. From there on out, you can make the individual changes that best suit your situation. So what does this mean? It means that peak strength output will start to decrease after 14 days without any training, and some powerlifters might see a decrease of up to 35% of their strength after 7 months. As for your muscle size, this will start to decrease after approximately 14 to 21 days without any training. So you don't need to be worried to lose all your precious gains at once. It is not like your muscles are Don Lewis who just magically disappeared, whereafter you become Carol Baskin and get fat and need to ward off all the accusations of where your muscles are, and you can tell them they, well, ran off to Costa Rica. Joe won't believe you, but hey, let's go for it. So what now if you haven't trained this whole period when the sports center was closed? It's approximately 29 days, I think. Your body's DNA changes, so that it is better adapt at building muscle. When detraining, it knows what type of mass it had, so it can get quickly back to it. In Broland, often referred to as muscle memory. So don't be afraid, it gets back very quickly. So with that being said, what if I worked out a little? Well, good news for you. Maintaining your muscle mass can be achieved with up to 1/9 of the total volume in up to 32 weeks of training. So very low loads. Make sure that you maintain enough muscle mass. And because there are a lot of really difficult bodyweight exercises, you can still achieve a good stimulus with which you can maintain or even gain some muscle mass. So what are these implications of training at home? Well, as mentioned, you can do just bodyweight exercises to maintain muscle mass. If, however, you have some money or your parents wanted to buy some equipment, you can do that. Just buy some weights, either barbell, dumbbell, or kettlebells. They're all fine. Just make sure you can use them with a variety of loading options. This means that for kettlebells, for example, you use 8, 12, 16, up to 24 kilograms. Just make sure it's usable for different exercises. Let's say you buy a barbell of 70 kilograms. You can squat and deadlift pretty good with it, but well, I don't see you really curl a lot of repetitions with it. So make sure it's adjustable. Then the same goes for resistance bands. Try buying different bands of different lengths and thickness, just to make sure that that you can use them for a variety of workouts. Then rings, an often overlooked and forgotten part or tool for training, but they're very good. They're very joint friendly. Shout out to Mart over here. You can hang them from the ceiling or a branch on a tree if it supports you, of course. And you can do really a variety of exercises with it, from pull-ups to dips to push-ups. You can do an abdominal exercise on it. And some of the best gymnasts look like they could grace the cover of Men's Health, as where I could only grace the cover of Roadkill magazine. What if you don't have the money? Well, just use everything that's lying around the house. Fill bottles with water, put them in your backpack. Just be creative. There's nothing you can't use as a weight or as an overload modality. Try to progress every week. via repetitions or sets to maintain an ever bigger stimulus for your muscles, to adapt and try training these muscles twice per week as to ensure the stimulus is timely and big enough to maintain a good overload on your muscles. Also, for most of us, since we have enough time on our hands, it might be time to start stretching. An often overlooked part of physical performance, it might now be time to start to see improved technique and full range of motion when the gym opens again. Also, does the stretching, lengthening of the muscle help with activation, which in turn is a stimulus to strengthen or repair. Then the more practical implications of training at home. The first thing is use full range of motion. It has been shown repeatedly that training your muscles through the full range of motion gets you more muscle growth. So for example, try squatting ass to grass. If you can do it, try changing your stance, or try opening up the knees or the hips a bit more, or do the just mentioned stretching, so that when the gym reopens again, you can see improvements in your range of motion, and with the added weight, you will see more improvements in your physique as well. Then the DOMS. DOMS stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. This is when you train your muscles too hard and for too long. Do not actively seek DOMS. It might appear in the first or second week, that's okay. But remember, this means that there is too much muscle damaged, in which the body has to repair more instead of maintaining or strengthening it. So perform your exercises until technical failure is reached. This means that the targeted muscle is so exhausted that either momentum or other muscles start helping out. Let's take a pull-up, for example. You can do the first 4 repetitions with perfect form, and repetition 5 and 6, you start using your legs a bit more, and 7 through 8, it's like a yo-yo going up and down. You know that you should have stopped at repetition 5 or 6. So perfect technique needs to be in place. For example, when performing a push-up, keep your hip slightly raised as to mimic the slight arch you have when benching, for example. Also try to keep your shoulder blades retracted, so back the whole movement. This is important to protect your shoulders from any injury. When that is in place, you should feel your pecs working super hard with your triceps as second muscle group. This is where the mind-muscle connection comes into play. You should really feel the pecs working. If not, try changing your hand position to better accommodate the mind-muscle connection. So it's important that these implications, like train till technical failure, perfect technique, mind-muscle training, full range of motion, they should be all checked together. You should check them all. Only when all these boxes are checked will you get the most results out of your home workout. As for volume, we just talked about it, 1/9 of your usual volume. In the studies, it's mentioned as hard sets. There was no difference between going to 5 repetitions or to 30. So just make sure you do a lot of hard sets. How many? Beginners should focus on 10 sets per body part per week. The frequency is twice. You should train your muscles twice a week. So start off with 5 and 5 or 4 and 5 and just progress from there on out. For the intermediates, it's 10 to 15 sets per week. And for the advanced trainees, it's 10 to 20 sets per week. 20 plus sets. You could do them, but please be aware. Don't let it get in the way of muscle growth. Then the movement patterns. If you incorporate all these movement patterns, you should have a complete home workout. I'm gonna go through them one by one just to give you a quick example, and I hope you're fairly visually oriented as I am. The handstand push-up, just go in a handstand, go against a wall, use a couple of books so you can get up on higher and just push yourself up and down. The pike push-up is very similar, but you put your legs on a bench or on your bed, and you make a very incline corner with your arms and shoulders, your ass up as if you're twerking, and then just go up and down. Chin-ups, pull-ups, very easy. Look for a bar and then just pull yourself up and down. The horizontal push, push-ups and dips. Horizontal pull, inverted row. The inverted row might be a little bit tricky, but I've seen some of the people I coach do it by hanging under a table and then just pulling themselves up. It's very ghetto, but gets results. If you don't have a barbell, just use your table. Then a squat pattern, Bulgarian split squat. Put one leg on a stool or on a couch, and the other foot forward, and just go up and down. Fairly easy. Air squats, also fairly easy, very technical. Nordic hamstring curl. The way I do it is I put my feet under the couch and then I just go up and down. There's a video Lot and I made at the Sports Center account. There you can see some technique about the Nordic hamstring curl and ways to make it easier or to progress in the exercise. Unilateral hip thrusts, just a normal hip thrust, but just use one leg. You can put the leg up or you can let it rest on your other knee. What you also could do, if you bought some bands, do banded hip thrusts. Then you just use the band above the knee and you push your knees outward and you go up and down. The towel hamstring curl, well, also pretty easy. You're gonna lie on your back. You put your feet on a towel and you just curl them all the way up and all the way down. So the feet to your ass and away from them. Then the biceps, you can do some suspended curls, again on a pull-up bar, or you can do chin-ups as well. For triceps, you can do dips, or you can do body weight tricep extensions. For that, you just need a higher surface like a table. You put your hands against it, and then you just do a tricep extension. You move with your head all the way forward, and then you extend all the way back. Then abs, you can do planks, you can do dead bugs, that's lying on your back and moving your legs separately up and down in a lengthened position. You can also do leg raises all the way up, all the way down. If you're living together with someone, you can ask them to throw the legs down. That's very hard. Those are a couple of movement patterns you can do. For more information about those exercises, screenshot the screen right now. I don't know if the YouTube video will be up after this, but if you have any information about it, you can ask it in the chat, or you can ask me personally, and I'll make sure you get more information about these exercises. Then the training modalities. What are the alterations we need to make in order to get a higher level of performance and to keep it challenging? The first one is time under tension. This is the time in which you execute a movement. In a gym, you usually take your chosen weight and just perform the repetitions without giving a second thought on how fast the weight should go up and down. If you complete the reps, you're good. But when training without weight or with very little weight, this approach can become quite time-consuming. So you need to be more deliberate at the time under tension implementation. Let's say you want to destroy your opponents, which are your previous reps and sets. You could choose to do it like Palpatine and execute Order 66. All your enemies are killed swiftly, and it looks fine and well, but you got thrown down a reactor shaft and die. You could also choose the long and slowly plotted approach with which Peter Thiel, founder of PayPal and Palantir and venture capitalist, destroyed Gawker and Nick Denton. Who of the two mentioned still lives and can continually make progress? Well, it's Peter Thiel, and in these strange circumstances, we should be more like Peter, like me. So slow down the rate at which you perform the exercise. This also benefits your technique. For an example, if you do some Bulgarian split squats, usually you do them with a high velocity because they can really suck the soul out of you, and after 2 or 3 sets, it's like your quadriceps will split off the bone. Without the added weight, there's room for technique work and to slow things down. So try keeping a 3-1-0-1 approach. So a 3-second descent, 1 second hold at the bottom, explosive movement upward, and then pause at the top, and then repeat that process. The other thing, or the next thing, is myo reps. These were first mentioned by Björge Fagerli, and it's a perfect tool to use while training at home. Just for an example, you do a couple of warm-up sets, after which you do your first set, your activation set. Do as many repetitions until you reach technical failure. Take a couple of nice deep breaths, 3 to 5, just to make sure that your condition isn't the limiting factor, and you resume the exercise until you reach technical failure again. Then take 3 to 5 deep breaths again and repeat the process. These will be 2 myo-rep sets. So there's 1 activation set with 2 working set numbers. Try increasing the amount of sets over time when the number of repetitions is high enough. There are a couple of exercises where it's not needed or not really needed to keep track, just as push-ups or pull-ups. They're very hard, and doing the first set even more than 10 or 15 might be already challenging. If, however, you do an exercise like a Bulgarian split squat, where you could do 40 repetitions the first activation set, try to keep the next number of repetitions at about 25% as a benchmark. So for this example, would that be 10 repetitions? And then do as many sets afterwards to which you can get those 10 repetitions no more. So for an example, on a terrible day, you do 40 plus 10 plus 9, and then your myo-rep set is over and you can go to the next exercise. If you, on a good day, do, however, 40, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 9, then you're ready. If you do it with the numbers of the numbers, write them down. It's easier for you to look to your next workout and know what the overloading modality should be, so that at the first set, maybe you get 40 again, or you just get 30. but just make sure that the sets you perform after that are more. If it's not more, then you're doing too much, you can recover enough, and then it's time to do less exercises. Why are these good? They accumulate a high volume with a lower intensity than usual, because of the shorter rest periods. This makes them very time efficient. The low loads used also make these very joint friendly. Shout out to Mart again. These are easier to pull off with weights, though, because you can do more of a rep count style, as I just mentioned. The next training modality is exercise training. This is training for difficult body weight exercises. You might think of a pistol squat, pull-up, chin up, push-up, dip, Nordic hamstring curl, all those very hard exercises that make you look like a total badass in the gym, or a tool, as it is with me. How do you train for these exercises? Well, you start with a partial range of motion. What a lot of people do when learning a pull-up, for example, is using bands or using a assisted pull-up machine. The point where those machines or those bands help you is the opposite of where the exercise gets heavy. So my advice would be start with a partial range of motion, and for pull-ups, if you can't do a single pull-up, start by jumping up to the bar, your chin at bar height, and keep holding on as long as possible. And if you start falling or going down, just let go in a safe manner. Repeat this process long enough until you can comfortably hold yourself there for 10-15 seconds. Then you start increasing your range of motion. So where you just hang first, just lower yourself a bit and then pull yourself up again. And through the weeks of doing this, you can lower yourself every repetition of every set a bit more until you can do a full pull-up. Another example is a pistol squat, also a very hard exercise. When sitting down, make sure there's a bench, a chair, or a bed behind you. When you go sitting down, make sure you can comfortably get up again, do a lot of repetitions, and lower the platform every week. So if you started with your high bed, then go to a chair and then to a couple of books or a casket or something, and just increase the range more and more, and just keep repeating the process until you can do a full range of motion pistol squat. So that was the part about the training. You can ask your questions about those in a minute or 15. We'll start with the dietary implications. What are the implications that we need to consider while staying in this intelligent lockdown? Well, for starters, we're moving less. How much less? Way less. We aren't overloading our bodies through exercising, and we aren't biking or walking as much as we should. And your metabolism goes down because of this. Since you're in the house all day, you also have enough time to cook. This might bring the most enjoyment you could get out of a day. So why not make it good? This increases the chances of eating more calories than usual. In accordance with this, it is very tempting to stray off your usual habitual path and stay up late, eat at different times, and therefore alter your 24-hour rhythm or your circadian rhythm. This in turn will have effect on the quality of your sleep and your body's ability to keep muscle and/or lose fat. So if you're like most of us mortals on planet Earth, motivation can be hard to come by these days. So with no equipment around or the field to progressively overload, please try to eat at maintenance or in a slight caloric surplus. If you try to get contest lean without any weights or bands, I wouldn't really recommend it. You could lose a lot of muscle mass, and that's not something we're going for here today. We're going for keeping the most as possible and even gaining a little. So then the dietary adjustments. We'll start off with calculating our new maintenance calories. As stated in previous clinics, your body burns energy expressed in calories, and your body has a certain amount of calories where you do not gain or lose tissue. These maintenance calories are made up out of a lot of different variables. For example, your basal metabolic rate. Those are hormones, age, sex. Then you got the thermic effect of food. That's the amount of calories burned while processing your food. And another large part is the physical activity level. This might take up from 5 to 20% of your maintenance calories. These are now reduced to 0. It's the 10 or 20% is very depending on how active you usually are. Let's take, for example, a person who has 3,000 calories as maintenance calories. For him, the physical activity level could be up to 600 calories daily. Since the lockdown started then 29 days ago, this could have accumulated up to 17,400 calories. And with no muscle to gain, you could look at somewhere north of 2 kilograms of fat tissue gained since the sports center closed. That's a lot of fat. And to get that away, your diet's already a bit off, so it might take even longer. So we want to just stay the most on course we can be. When you've been tracking your calories, that's perfect. Just subtract 10 to 20% of your maintenance calories. You have MyFitnessPal and other different applications. They can do that quite well for you. If you do not track calories, reduce the portion of the bread, rice, or pasta you eat usually, and adjust according to your scale. Daily weighing is advised when trying to maintain weight during the lockdown. Why not just take 2 weighing points? Your body weight is very dependent on a couple of different factors, and just doing 2 weigh-ins might give you the wrong idea about what you're doing. You might be gaining more than you think, and you're just very lucky with the amount of salt you've eaten or alcohol you've consumed. So really try daily weighing if you're not tracking your calories. Then the next part, developing a routine. Make sure to wake up the same time you would normally get up to go to work. I know that's very hard for a lot of people, or to go to school. I know it's very hard, especially because there are a lot of good. There's a lot of good content on the streaming services. HBO has gone free right now, so you can look at all the seasons of The Sopranos again, and or you could go to Disney Plus with all the Star Wars movies, of course. Or Lord of the Rings, or the Nolan Batman trilogy, whatever. Everything is very tempting, but just make sure that you develop a routine so you can fit in your workout, for example. So try to work out at a certain part of the day. For example, from 12 till 2. It's very, you have it in your system, you need to do it. Otherwise, if you train one day in the morning and then the next day you say to yourself, well, I train at 5, and then you need to do some grocery shopping, and then your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whoever comes home, and you discuss something, and then you don't really want to work out anymore, and then the day's ruined, and you think, well, next day, and then so just stick to a routine, make it a habit, and let it work for you. If you have trouble sticking to a routine, then don't overdo it with the training days, especially for beginners. Keep them comfortably within a 7-day period. 4 days would be perfect. If you do 6 days, well, for the most people, they think of a week the same as a training week, and it could mess up the training, which psychologically isn't really helpful for you. Just make sure that you keep your training days within a week. Then to the snacking and boredom eating. The urge to snack while working from home or watching Netflix is very tempting. It's very easy to say, well, we're watching a movie, just make some popcorn, or you're watching a rerun of the 2016 NBA Finals where the Cavs won and LeBron became the GOAT. You want some hot wings or something. Just do not succumb to the feeling. Your body is a very rhythmic machine, and it will get used to the hunger signaling, and you will get hungry. And if you can do it, if you can eat 8 meals a day and not go over the just new set maintenance calories, you're a good one. If you can't, just leave the snacking be and just focus on your 3 to 5 meals a day. And for you, it's also now might be more important to realize if you're a morning or an evening hunger person. I talked with a lot of people, and it really exists, and there's a real difference between them. If you know that you're more hungry in the morning, consume most calories in the morning. If you're more of an evening hunger person, well, eat more in the evening. Don't just try to eat the less. You need to eat less now for the lower maintenance calories. Just don't eat 3 the same meals. It won't work. Just try to figure out what kind of person you are. Also, increase your caffeine consumption. Caffeine suppresses hunger, as most of you will know when studying at the university library, and the caffeine is flowing like water. Go for a walk when you're hungry. Activity also suppresses hunger. And if that doesn't help as well, experiment with fasting. Try the lean gains method, the 16 to 8, in which you don't eat for 16 hours and you have a feeding window of 8, or you do 14 to 10. You can experiment with it. Now just might be the time to do so. Then the macronutrient partitioning. Just make sure that your protein intake is a bit increased, up to 2.3 gram per kilogram of body weight. Usually I'd suggest 1.6 to 1.8 gram per kilogram of body weight. These are different circumstances, and you're desperately hanging on that summer body where you can shine at festivals. Oh wait, that's not gonna happen. Just kidding. I hope it does. I want to go with floors. So 2.3 grams per kilogram of body weight. Then for the carbohydrates, they're an excellent fuel source when having an active lifestyle. Do you have an active lifestyle right now? I don't think so, at least if you're doing as Rutte told you. So carbohydrates, it has been shown that they could increase cravings. They could. The same could be said for fat or protein. Fat has been shown to decrease hunger more when combining with a low-calorie diet. So you might try swapping your carbohydrates and your fats out if this helps your cravings. Again, this is highly individual. Experiment with it. And if you want to eat carbs, do so predominantly before bed, so you get that carb knockout, and this will help you not binge the entire season of Tiger King, which I did. Then I wanted to end with a quote, but it didn't get on here. The quote starts with, "Depression isn't real. Is happiness even real? I don't know. I've never felt it." This is said by the CEO of Average Capital and Thomas Eddy. Coincidence? I think not. So now we'll go to our Q&A. Quarantine and Emil.
Before we go to the Q&A, I would like to interject real quick. Any of you guys want the slides afterwards, send a message to one of the board members. Any way possible, you can send us an email, you can send us a WhatsApp message. We'll send it to you. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Let the questions start.
Yeah, and you can also add me on Snapchat, and I'll
Private Snapchat?
I'll show you the paid Snapchat, OnlyFans, and I'll show you the exercise. Well, let's see. How much proteins in quarantine? I don't know what proteins are, but I think proteins. The Chinese can't spell the R, right? So why is it proteins? And protein. Well, okay. How many proteins? Well, it's highly dependent on your body weight. I'd suggest 2.3 grams per kilogram of body weight. Yeah. So there you go. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Well, I think it can. You've seen 9/11. It really burned through. Steel beams cannot melt jet fuel. Well, that's true. High in zuurwater. This translates to shark in sour water. This needs a little bit of a background. So Mark Everts of Everts Capital, the CEO, he went skinny skydiving once, and he didn't land on land, but he landed in the ocean, and he had to fight a 20-foot tiger shark for a sea turtle, which he could ride on to Honolulu to get safe. And he killed the shark, and he took the shark with him. Now it's in Heubergen. How much formaldehyde do you need for one shark? Well, you caught him, and he's looking alive and well. So I think you're doing pretty good.
All right. Let's give people like a minute more to answer some questions. Maybe some slow typers in there, some SOs, trying to find the keys on the keyboard.
Yeah,
it happens. How did he do the minutes last year? He was secretary last year, but he's a boomer. He can't.
Ezra. I don't know. He.
They hacked my computer, Peter.
Hence the name Exotic Mark. Yeah. He is very exotic. I'm going with him to Brazil this year, if he still wants to. My voice is hypnotizing. Wow. Thank you, Mart. I
problem.
never heard it that way before.
I mean, that's the thing. You'll probably never be able to hear your voice that way.
Well,
That's crazy, isn't it?
well, usually I look at the reaction of babies and they just start crying. So I don't think my voice is any good. Will your body be able to absorb all that protein though? Funny story, it doesn't. And we're all too late. The apocalypse is coming. The Great Depression. No more protein. Protein's gonna be sacrificed in order for capitalism to survive. Can you recommend certain fat burners? Well, I do. Actually, there is this one fat burner. You can buy it at keriscoaching.com. And it costs 50 euros a pop. And when you do 2 hours of high intensity interval training, you will have lost some weight. I know, it's magic. He mailed them to me, I think. Who is he?
Who is he? Mailed them?
Who is he? How is he? How is he doing? I just want to know. Everybody wants to know. Huh? Who is he? How is he? Ezra, tell us.
What's he like?
Yeah. What does his hair smell like after you've seen him fall asleep through the window?
I think we don't have any more questions though. Like any more.
Well, we have a
I
lag.
think this is just your gang trying to impress you.
We have a lag of about 4 hours.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true.
Okay.
I think that's it though, right?
That's it.
So, yeah, as I said before, if you guys want the slide, you can ask a board member. It might or might not appear in the newsletter next week anyway, so if you don't, then you can still grab it up that way. But you have to wait a bit because the next newsletter is a while away. Yeah, I see there's one more comment from Ezra that you might want to comment on.
Should we be hoarding whey already?
Whey.
This is the way. You should order those shirts. They're good. Damasetti. No, you should not. You should buy a gun though, if you live in America. To what extent does protein need to be spaced out during the day? Well, protein really needs to be spaced out. I'd say LSD or shrooms. That'd be good for proteins.
That sounds good, yeah.
Yeah.
Fibers probably anyway.
Yeah. Distribute them just evenly throughout the meals. A bit more in your anabolic window just after your workout. Not too much though, because the anabolic window is not so much a window to a house, but more as a window to my soul, which is huge.
Wow, and on that note...
On that note, this was it. Thank you very much for joining in, and we're going to start a podcast, which is called Joint and
Arms.
Joint and Arms.
Joint Arms. Joint Arms. Dude, that's an amazing name.
I don't even have arms. But, well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, just hit up the board or me. And me is Peter. Bye-bye.
Bye.